Hello everyone and welcome to the Constructive Criticism Network. This network is here to help you improve at Magic the Gathering at every level. From Pauper Leagues to Top 1000 Mythic, we've got you covered. If you want to hear the entire network, head on over to our sponsor at puremtgo.com, where you can hear each and every show, each and every week, and check out their sponsor, MTGO Traders, and tell them that the CCMTG Network sent you. Now sit back, enjoy the show. From YouTube, podcasts, and more, here's this week's episode from ConstructiveCriticism.com. Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Mythic Cast. I'm your host Spencer, and this week I'm joined by special guest Avery Wilson. What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
Hey, sometimes life comes up and we were going to record last week, but you wanted to get Mythic again this month, so you were like, you know what, I'm not Mythic right now, the month just started, I want to get Mythic again. You go and get this sweet deck that we're going to talk about today. And now we get to talk about Historic, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, Historic is like honestly one of my favorite formats. Like I'm looking forward for Pioneer, but Standard's kind of stale right now, and this Bant Bow deck has definitely had my bread and butter for it. So
awesome.
I'm excited to talk about it.
I'm excited to talk about it too. Before we do that, though, I just want to mention our sponsor really quick over at puremtgo.com. You should check them out. Thank you so much to them. It means the world to us to have that sponsor. You can check out their sponsor as well over at mtgotraders.com. So check out our sponsor, and thank you so much to them. But before we get into the deck, I just kind of want to talk about you really quick, Avery. When did you start playing Magic?
I started playing Magic around 2011, 2012. During my high school terms, I used to play football a lot, but then I had a really bad knee injury, and I always had the competitive drive about me. So my friends were playing cards, and I was like, "What's this?" So after I figured it out and learned how to play the game, I was hooked. I keep going back and forth from it. So
what position did you play in football?
I was outside linebacker, and then I was strong safety, and then running back. So I was on both sides of the ball.
What is there anything that football taught you that you've applied to Magic?
Yes, I would like to say patience. And honestly, it's just a game. You're going to have your wins, you're going to have your loss, and there's variance for everything, man. Honestly, the number one thing is patience. And your time will come, just putting hard work and grinding and doing whatever's necessary to win. It'll show you the results later on. So
awesome. What do you think the biggest lesson you've learned in Magic is?
Not to tell. When I first started, man, I got so upset about like mulling to 5 and all this stuff. And again, it kind of goes back to the patience. Is just take a deep breath. A loss is a loss, and just learn from all the mistakes that you made in the game or that you could have made differently. So I definitely think like learning from your mistakes and moving forward. Don't hang on whatever mistakes you made. Just keep going forward. That's the number one thing.
How do you think it's easiest to do that? Like you make a a pretty glaring mistake in round 3 of your WMPQ. How do you move on to that round 4? Like how do you get that out of your head?
Well, I try not to think about it. I think the biggest mistake a lot of Magic players make is they find their friends and then they go to them and go, guess who I faced? This is why I lost. Instead, you should be like, I have a 15-round tournament. I need to focus on my next match. Drink some water, use the bathroom, get some food. And just relax, because the more you think about the match, you're gonna still be hung up on that match. I think you just let it go, try to take a deep breath, just get your mind off of it, because there's still a lot of Magic to play, and there's always more events. The game is it just keeps thriving. So
awesome. So, what deck are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about a deck, Bant Bow. I got it from this guy named Triaxiom. His name's Marty. I saw his list on MTG Arena, Arena Decklist, and he was just destroying the format. He hit Mythic, and he hit, I think, top 200 last month, and then this month he was already Mythic. So I was like, I wanted to change things up, and it was right up my alley. I love anything that says enter the battlefield. So
So what rank did you get with the deck?
I wrote it down. I was in like top two, I think 230 or something like that.
Awesome.
So
So this is a deck that you currently are playing. You just got Mythic with it a couple days ago.
mhm.
What did you play against on the way up?
I played against a bunch of Esper, Gruul, Blue White, Nexus, um, a lot of Green Stompy, a lot of creature decks, and then it was like half creature decks with like aggro, and then like control with Esper and Blue White. So
Okay. Did you try other decks along the way? I know that you actually went 12-1 with another deck as well.
yes, so I was struggling. I was playing a little bit standard to how my friend like because he qualified for the MCQ, and I just got bored of it. So I was like, okay, I'm in Platinum 4 with no ticks, and I was like, okay, let me play Boros Nights that I found from Andrea Munguchi. I just steamrolled people. Everybody didn't know what to do with themselves. It's like play night, anthem, anthem, you're dead. Um,
Was that a
so
historic deck?
yes, in historic, yes.
Okay.
But then in Diamond, I was still playing the Boros Knights, but I couldn't win a game because everybody. I faced like four decks that had Cry of the Carnarium, and if it wasn't Cry, it was Ritual Soot or Deafening Clarion. Everybody was just board wiping, which made sense. The meta is kind of more advanced in Diamond. So I tried this Bow deck, and switching to it, it just gave me such a better matchup against those border wiping decks, and that's why I wanted to switch up. So
So how long did it take you to go from Diamond to Mythic once you got on this deck?
3 days. Honestly, I could have done it in two, but again, I was on the hot streak, and I wanted to take a break because I know the longer I play, the more mistakes I'm going to make. Just being fatigued and I just wanted to take my time. But I went 12-1. I don't remember what I lost to, but it definitely was like a mulligan to 6 or a mulligan to 5 on game 3. But I everything else I played against, it honestly didn't matter what they were playing because the deck is just really good.
Did you make any changes along the way? Were there?
Yeah, so the I put Chilstani in and two Dovin's Veto, just to shore up the aggro decks. Um, the deck needs some time to catch up, or needs a time one turn to set up. So when you're behind, I just wanted a card that can be like an anthem and just put bodies to give me some chance to survive a couple of turns that I need to win the game. So, and then the Dovin's Veto, he had negates in the deck, and I just wanted a harder counter because I was getting mystical disputed a lot,
Mhm.
and it worked on my run. But later on, I decided to take him out because the mana is a little rough. But those changes definitely got me on that run. So
Let me go. We're gonna go ahead and switch. I'm gonna read the deck list that you sent me originally, and then we can
okay,
we can talk about any changes that you made. I have 4 Llanowar, 3 Morfolk Branchwalker, 3 Paradise Druid, 3 Deputy of Detention, 4 Frilled Mystic, 4 Nightbuck Ambusher, 3 Questing Beast, 1 God Eternal Ketra, 3 Tolsmar Friend of Wolves, 4 Teferi, 4 Arcbow, 4 Breeding Pool, 4 Forest, 3 Glacial Fortress, 4 Hollowed Fountain, 2 Hinterland Harbor, 3 Sun Grove, 4 Temple Garden, and the sideboard is 2 Baffling End, 2 Disdainful Stroke. Currently, 2 Doden's Veto, you're saying, are back to negates. 3 Night of Autumn, 2 Prison Realm, 2 Shalai, and 2 Lyra Dawnbringer. So talk to me about this deck. What do you think is the number one most important card in the deck?
Bant Bow. Bant Bow is the most important card in the deck. It just feels like you're doing unfair things. You have cards like Frill Mystic and then Night Pack Ambusher that you don't really want to play cards on your turn. So you just hold up mana, you go on your opponent's turn, and then you can either bow or counter their card or even get Night Pack Ambusher out. So
Yeah, so one of the things that this deck I think gains a lot from. I've only played one match, by the way. I played my first match with it last night, and immediately the thing that stuck out to me is that this deck synergizes really well with itself. Because of
yeah,
Arcbow. You get to play that flash game between Frilled Mystic and Nightpack Ambusher, but even when you don't have a bow, kind of because of the way that your deck operates, Teferi can kind of bridge the gap for when you don't have Bow and lets you bounce things back to your own hand to get revalue out of them and dig you deeper for those. Is that kind of the experience that you were having?
Yes, especially with like Frilled Mystic, just having I was playing against a blue white opponent, and I flashed in Frilled Mystic to counter the board wipe, and then I played Teferi, bounced my Frilled Mystic to my hand, and my opponent conceded. It's just like I hit my opponent. Teferi shuts down anything he can do, and Frilled Mystic is also another shutdown. So it's like checkmate, honestly.
Sure.
And
Is would you say Teferi and Frilled Mystic are two of the other most important cards in the deck?
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I would also say Tolsimir. The interaction with Nightpack Ambusher and Tolsimir is really, really gross. Anytime you have a Tolsimir out, it doesn't matter where the wolf comes from, it will trigger. So your Nightpack Ambusher will fight whatever creature you want, and then you gain 3 life. And say if you don't cast a spell and you have a Nightpack out, the wolf token will always fight the creature that you want, and then you always gain life. So it's a way of catch me up, but it's such a crazy engine. So I won so many games off of that.
Yeah, I know that Tulsimir's. We on my other podcast, we're actually getting a wolf token of my Pomeranian
Really?
for this card specifically. So it's like really fun for me to be playing with this one. Is Tulsimir something that you didn't expect to be as good as it was going in then?
Yes. I knew it was good because like 2 bodies, and even if it didn't fight, just having a card that can produce 2 bodies, is very good. But just being able to fight a creature and gain 3 life, that's so huge. So you take away one of your opponent's creatures, and then you just like stabilizing your life total. It's definitely like a perfect 5 drop in my opinion.
So talk to me about the mana. You said that you were had some mana trouble. So what do you think both caused the mana troubles, and where do you think the mana base stands right now?
Um, the mana base is hit or miss. The reason why you just might not hit a certain color, so there'll be turns where I have all blue green lands and I need a white just to be able to cast my hand. So I have to mulligan a lot. But and also the other thing is there's 12 shock lands, I believe, if I remember correctly, and that's very painful. I've lost a lot. I lost a couple games. Just being by hurting myself for 6 damage or 8 damage just to be able to cast my Nightpack Ambusher or my Tolsimir. So definitely the painful lands, it hurts, and just the colors sometimes. But it's honestly the mana is kind of consistent for the most part.
Yeah, in the game that I played, my mana seemed much better than my opponents. I was playing against a Naya mid-range deck. Is Paradise Druid kind of a must-have, kind of because of those mana stuff? And same thing of Merfolk Branchwalker for what it's worth.
Yeah, they help with the that issue of mana. You know, like the Paradise Druid is definitely another MVP just to not only get you the correct mana that you need, also to ramp you up into turn 3 night pack ambusher, or you get to play Teferi and or like have a bow like and have play another creature on turn 3. So definitely, I think it's a must in this deck.
Cool. So talk to me about the sideboard. Like, what is, or actually, before we move on to that, why don't you tell me what you think the coolest interaction in the deck is?
I just have to go back to the night pack and
And the Tulsimir? Sure.
Yeah, but it just feels unfair. It really does.
That's
It's just
fair.
like it doesn't matter what you and then you just pass the turn. You know, you attack with the night pack, and then you pass the turn, killing another creature, and then you can bow and then get another night pack and then kill his creature. And was at 1 life in one matchup, and I went to 15, or 16, whatever the life total is, and just had like 3 or 4 wolves, and it didn't matter. It really didn't
Sure.
matter what my opponent did. So that's definitely the coolest interaction in the deck.
Did Was there any thought to adding Castle Ventress to this deck?
Um, I did think about it a little bit. It's rough just
With the
because
mana?
with the mana, I don't believe there's enough blue sources to have it come in untapped, and you definitely do not want to take a turn and have your lands come in tapped a lot. I
Sure.
kept hands that had just the check lands, and I was a turn behind it every turn, and I just got
Sure.
destroyed.
Sure.
So you definitely need a shock land and to be able to cast your cards. So
Sure. Well, let's move on to that sideboard. Well, I'm going to read it once again for those at home. We have the 2 Baffling Ends, the 2 Disdainful Stroke. You said you've replaced the Dylan's Veto back to 2 Negates,
Hmm.
3 Knight of Autumn, 2 Prison Realm, 2 Shalai, and 2 Lyra Dawnbringer. One
Hmm.
thing that I immediately noticed is you have a lot of answers in your sideboard, and I think that comes from being a really heavy creature deck for your arc bows. Why don't you talk to me about it?
Well, the deck struggles against, I think, Gruul a little bit, and the sideboard definitely helps with that. For example, I hit up the guy Marty just to ask him what his ideas were with the deck, and I actually wrote it down. So it was like against like aggro, Teferi's not the greatest, especially against Gruul. That everything has haste, and you don't want to really bounce their. Um, I'm blanking the 2 mana card that just produces 2 mana.
The Burning Tree Emissaries?
Yes, thank you. Burning Tree. You don't want to bounce that or anything like that. So like the sideboard is like all the Teferis and Frill Mystics. They already dumped their hands in. If you're on a draw, it doesn't make sense to have them. And Baffling End and Prison Realm definitely helped in the early game. And then Lyra and Shalai definitely have won me games. People forget that if you have a Lyra out and you have Shalai also, that she is also gets lifelink. I've multiplied and played against somebody and it just had those 2 creatures and kept attacking and gained 9, gained 9, gained 9. And they can't kill my Lyra because they have to do Michelle I first. So
Sure.
I definitely think that helps in the matchup just because if they have that Burning Tree, Burning Tree, Burning Tree, kill your mana dork kind of draw, it's really hard to beat that.
It's good to know that I
Uh,
boarded correctly against Naya, because those are all the cards that I boarded in
yeah,
against Naya
no,
also.
it's honestly straightforward. Against Nexus, it's just like you bring in the Knight of Autumns, you bring in like a Shalai, and then you just cut like your top end. And against Control, you bring in the counters, you cut like all like the Tolsimirs and the Paradise Druid. Just because you're playing more of a long game and you don't really want to have like yeah you want to ramp but the card doesn't really do much other than that and honestly you get better cards like counters definitely help and honestly the biggest card that you really want to resolve is on turn 2 which is Bell. Once you get a Bell against control cards it turns off all the counters. They feel like they have to bounce it with Teferi, and you're like, okay, I just recast Bow. Now you get Teferi doesn't really do anything. I can still cast get all my creatures through Bow. You know, I don't have to
Right.
do anything. So
So, talk to me about Questing Beast really quick. Because you mentioned everybody's favorite deck, Nexus. How much does that card's ability impact that matchup in Historic?
definitely with the your creatures can't damage can't combat damage can be prevented. Um, there's so many times when my opponent casts Root Snare, and I'm like, okay, Questing Me still does it.
Oh man,
That
people are going in on it still.
yes, yeah. People, I mean, it's people are now like kind of switching away from Root Snare, and they're playing uh creeping chill. I believe that's the card. It's
Crippling
like
Chill.
yeah, it's like 3 mana -2 -0 to all attacking creatures just
And
to
then
stay
draw a
alive.
card. Sure.
Yeah, draw card. Again, because like everybody's if you're not playing Bant, they're playing Gruul, which again they're playing 4 Questing Beasts, so it kind of makes that matchup against Nexus kind of tough because they need turns to survive and prevent the damage, and they can't. So
Okay.
I definitely like Questing Beasts, especially against like even like aggro creatures. You know, it's just a card that can always attack and always block. It's just it plays defense and offense, so that's why I love it.
Okay. What decks do you want to play against most when playing this deck?
um, I would like to say Um, I like to face against like the ramp decks, like mono white, more creature decks. Honestly, the control decks are okay too. Just again, you just need the bow, and even if you don't have it, you still have Fertile Mystic, so you have somewhat of a game, but you have a little bit more dead cards against them. But I definitely think this deck wants to play against creature decks. It just again, you have Deputy of Detention to take away the creature, Tolsimir, Nightpack Ambusher, making their attacks even worse. And everything's in instant speed. Even Oketra, when I put it back in, has been doing work. You know, you flash it in with Bow, and then on my turn, I get to play Elvis Mystic. That gives me a 4/4, so I'm paying 5 power on the board on the next turn. So,
Is there a deck that you want to avoid?
um, yeah, I would like to avoid Gruul, but again, I want to say like I would only want to event avoid Gruul if they have the nut draw. I mean, which
Sure.
doesn't happen all the time, but again, like if they have like burning tree into anything else, it's just bad. So
Awesome. Is there any cards from the new set that you're looking forward to kind of adding to this?
um let me see. I think I wrote a couple down. Yeah, so Prison Realm is cool and everything, but I like Vanishing
Vanishing
Light.
Light, sure.
Vanishing Light is sweet because it can hit literally everything that
Sure.
other cards can hit. Um, I it's tough because like I don't know how powerful these cards are, but Bronze Eyed the Lion seems pretty cool. It's
Okay.
another creature that maybe it can be replaced by Branch Walker. It's just a bigger body.
Sure.
Euro seems nuts.
What is that
I
card?
think it's the 6/6 card that when it enters
Oh,
the battle.
the Titan,
Yeah, the Titan.
the blue green
Um,
one. Sure.
I think he would be sweet. Gain you life, draw you a card, put a land on the battlefield. It's something that you don't care if it dies because you can get it back later. And especially with this deck, you just want to just churn value.
Sure.
And it's a card that can ramp you and do all types of things. So I think that card can definitely enter into this deck. So
Okay.
those are the only three cards I really saw from the set so far.
Okay. Well, just want to take a second to thank you for coming on the show this week. This deck is sweet. It's one that I plan on doing a little bit more playing myself for. Is there anything? Is there anything that you want to plug? I know that I see you're wearing a jersey right now. Do you want to? Is there anything you want
Yeah,
to?
yeah. This is me and my buddy's team, Transmute.io. He has a website. You can buy cards, sell cards, and all that type of things. I have a YouTube channel, Mr. AVE Will, WIL. I am planning to do the early access for the new set. So I'm going to add like a bunch of content to that. And I'm starting to stream now. And my YouTube, Twitch is Suavecito with a O instead of a U. So
Awesome.
SOAE.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
we'll make sure to get all those linked in the show notes. You can find them below. And yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really enjoyed this episode. Where can people find you on Twitter?
They can find me at Little Avecito. So it's LILAVECITO.
You can find me at Spencer13H. You can find the show at Arena Mythicast. We are a part of the Constructive Criticism Network. Thank you again so much, Avery, for coming on. I really, really appreciate your time. And everybody, don't forget to smash that like button, hit that sub button, and we'll see everybody next week with another episode of Arena Mythicast.